Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, this is a make or break moment for the price of Bitcoin in the short term, as the price is still running into this important area of resistance, continuing to struggle in the short term, but we're still having a lot of liquidity building just above the price of Bitcoin in the immediate short term in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, which we cannot ignore, while the price of Ethereum is continuing to play out this short term overbought signal, cooling off a little bit, while Solana is actually struggling and seeing potentially another rejection from this important area of resistance in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and I'll keep this quick because not a lot has changed over the last one day. First of all, the super trend indicator still sitting in the red, indicating a larger bearish trend or a larger bearish move. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, once again, we still have this massive bearish divergence to watch out for that I warned about months ago now on the channel, still technically active, still technically influencing the price of Bitcoin on the larger time frames. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart in the somewhat short to mid-term during this larger bearish movement, we're obviously continuing a bit more of a shorter term bullish relief, kind of like what we saw over 3 years ago in mid 2022. Of course, we hit oversold in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI, just like what we saw around 1 to 2 weeks ago. And of course, what came next based on these previous examples was either a larger sideways consolidation bouncing around relatively sideways, or potentially a bit more of a bullish relief coming soon over the next couple of weeks or so. Once again, this is not a super long-term signal, but if we're talking about the next maybe 1 or 2 weeks, this does suggest a little bit more of a relief or break from all of the bearish price action as a very likely scenario here. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, at least for now in the immediate short term, we're still running into and still struggling at this major area of resistance here, sitting in between approximately 92,000 to 94,000. And so obviously over the last 1 week or so, this has proven to be major resistance, proven to be a major obstacle for the price on the price chart, which means eventually if we can actually break out above this area, that will be a big deal for the price of Bitcoin, because for the last 1 to 2 weeks it has been holding down the price obviously. But this is really a make or break moment here, because if we see another rejection and come back all the way down towards this lower area of this sideways price range, this level of support at give or take 85,000, if that were to happen just like what we saw a few days ago, almost a week ago, then in that situation we wouldn't really have a double bottom or a W pattern forming any longer, because obviously would have basically another low, a third low here. And so ideally, in order to actually start playing out a possible W pattern or double bottom with a bullish price target in play, which by the way would be sitting at approximately 103,000 as the technical price target for this possible W pattern, in order for that to actually play out, we ideally need to see a breakout on this attempt that we're currently testing this resistance right now. We ideally need to see a breakout at some point in the next few days to actually activate that short-term bullish price target. So obviously I want to make it clear that right now we've not yet activated that potential bullish price target at around 103,000, because at least for now we've not yet confirmed the breakout above 94,000. And so in the meantime, we're still kind of in this sideways price range that we've been in over the last couple of weeks, in between roughly 85,000 to 94,000 as the support and the resistance to pay attention to. But once again, if we break out above 94,000 with confirmation, so candle closes above that level and actually hold above that area on the price chart, in that situation, the next major resistance in the shorter term is at roughly 99,000 to 100,000, which we could see more clear on this 6-hour Bitcoin price chart. Once again, this area in between 99,000 to 100,000 based on previous support flipping into new resistance. But once again, only if we first confirm this breakout above this area of resistance in between 92 to 94,000, which we're still currently testing as of recording this video. And as I've explained a few times over the last few days, of course, the more the price retests this resistance, the more we keep coming into this resistance, the weaker that resistance ultimately gets, because you can think of this as basically the bulls out there or the buyers out there buying up through a bunch of sell orders that are placed at this level, which is currently holding the price down. But eventually, if the price keeps testing that resistance right there, eventually we'll keep buying up through all of those sell orders and weakening that sell wall or that level of resistance. And so obviously if the bulls buy up through all of those those sell orders placed at around this level on the price chart, currently acting as resistance. Once again, that ultimately can cause a breakout once we actually buy up through all of those sell orders. So for now, obviously, we still have resistance there. We are still seeing a bit of struggle around this area, but once again, for as long as we're staying around this area, seeing multiple retests, that is good news for Bitcoin, because that increases the probability, increases the likely chance of a potential breakout. And so that is the next potential trading opportunity, which I have been sharing over the last couple of days. Not financial advice, but if we first confirm the breakout, I want to make that clear. If we first confirm the breakout above around 94,000 and actually hold above that level, that would be a potential breakout trading opportunity for a long position, or just buying some Bitcoin in order to target these higher prices, like this resistance right here, or the price target potentially at around 103,000 if we first break out through that next resistance. But obviously, considering we've not yet confirmed the breakout, I've not yet entered any long position, because there is still a potential risk that we could see another rejection from this resistance, which we're already starting to see a little bit of struggle over the last one day. But obviously, the last time we tested this resistance, we did see a bit of a short-term rejection before we ultimately tested it again. And so right now, at least when we're talking about the short-term price action, this is a make or break moment for the price of Bitcoin. We're still in the test phase. We've not yet really confirmed a strong rejection or confirmed the breakout. We're still testing the resistance, but obviously, as I've already talked about over the last couple of days, just above this resistance, we have a lot of liquidity waiting for the price of Bitcoin, sitting at roughly around 94,500. And so in case you're new to all of this, what this basically means is a bunch of short positions would get liquidated. They'll get wiped out of the market if the price crosses above that level. So if we break out above around 94.6k, 94.7k, then that would wipe out a bunch of short positions. And when short positions close or get liquidated, they essentially have to buy back into the underlying asset, in this case Bitcoin, which can help to push the price a little higher in a potential breakout heading towards the next resistance at around 99 to 100,000. And so once again, that could really help a potential breakout trading opportunity here. But remember, in order to actually liquidate those short positions, we first need to see the breakout above this resistance in between 92 to 94,000, which at least for now is not yet confirmed. But a good sign to see, at least in these smaller timeframes in the immediate short term, is the fact that we're starting to form higher lows and higher highs. Obviously, we've already confirmed this higher low and now this higher high in plays in the immediate short term, which is a little bit of a reversal out of this shorter term bearish trend. But overall, once again, if we're looking at the much bigger picture here on the weekly time frame, we still have this much larger bearish divergence. But if we're talking about just the shorter term on the much smaller time frames, overall this is starting to look good. We just obviously need to see the breakout above 94,000 to continue this shorter term relief up towards this next resistance. And so this is definitely the time to get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of that next trading opportunity if you want to. Not financial advice, but if you use the first link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to this page right here, where you can take advantage of some massive bonuses over on Pinex that are only available using that link. So for example, if you make your account and complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus on your account. And on top of that, there's also deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as $100, you get a $100 deposit bonus. If you deposit $10,000, you get a $1,000 deposit bonus into your Pinex account. This is basically free money from the exchange, which you can then go ahead to actually use to open a Bitcoin trade if you want to. But once again, these bonuses right here are only available if you're using that link below the video to actually make your Pinex account. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take that next potential trading opportunity, definitely check it out. First link below the video. But if you want a no KYC crypto exchange that I also use for long positions and short positions and things like that, then definitely check out the second link below this video. That second link in the description and in the pinned comment will take you to this page right here over on the 2bit crypto exchange, where you can also take advantage of massive deposit bonuses that are only available using that link. And on top of those deposit bonuses, there's also trade protection funds and recovery funds that are available for the next 5 days or so. And so as you can see right here, new users that are making your account during this event over the next 5 days will receive 100% loss protection on your first futures trade, up to 200 USDT in trial funds. And on top of that, there's also a recovery fund here. So if you get liquidated during this event over 50 USDT, then you may be eligible for recovery compensation up to 1,000 USDT, depending on your liquidation amount. And so once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take that next trading opportunity, definitely check this out. Second link below the video. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, and right now we're still kind of looking looking slightly more bullish than we are bearish in the Bitcoin dominance. But with that being said, we don't really have any significant momentum really to either direction. We don't have a lot of bullish momentum or a lot of bearish momentum. We're not really in a strong trend to either direction, at least for now, in the Bitcoin dominance, which basically means a lot of the major altcoins on average will likely be performing very similar to whatever Bitcoin is doing, not necessarily much better or much worse. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH has already obviously confirmed the breakout over the last couple of days above this short-term resistance here, which was sitting at around 3,040. So really in between 3,000 to 3.1k was the area of resistance that has been holding down the price over the last 1 or 2 weeks. But now, once again, over the last couple of days, we have broken out above that level with now multiple confirmation signals, multiple daily candle closes above 3,000 to 3.1k. And in fact, over the last 1 to 2 days or so, we actually saw a retest of that area back into that area in between 3,000 to 3.1k. And so far, we are holding that as support. We're finding support in that area, which is obviously great to see. This is bullish price structure finally starting to form again on the daily Ethereum price chart. And so once again, if we see any little pullback again, expect a lot of support in between 3,000 to 3.1k. And as for the next price target towards the upside, that is currently sitting at roughly around 3,400, 3.4k as a technical price target based on this potential double bottom or W pattern, which is technically now active. We have now confirmed the breakout above this neckline, above this resistance. But also keep in mind that just before we hit 3.4k, we also have a decent amount of resistance really in between around 3,250 to 3.3k. And basically as soon as we hit around 3,250 within just a couple of dollars of that level, so far that's exactly where the price has started to struggle at just in the short term here. But overall, if we're talking about, let's just say the next 1 week, that sort of time frame, we are technically looking more bullish than we are bearish for the price of Ethereum on this daily time frame, considering the latest breakout and the activation of this bullish price target, and of course bullish price structure starting to form with a slight higher low in the price and now some slight higher highs and a breakout above resistance. Obviously that is bullish price structure. But also be aware of other signals that are happening on different time frames. For example, in the shorter term, on the smaller time frames here on this 4-hour time frame right here, we do obviously have that previous overbought signal that I talked about in my last video just yesterday. So like I said in my last video, I said it's very likely that over the next day or so, just in the shorter term, it's very likely we're going to start to see a bit of a cool off in the price, either some choppy sideways price action or slight little pullback. Not necessarily a huge crash all the way back down, but basically price action like this is exactly what I predicted in my last video. And since then, that's exactly what has started to play out as predicted and will likely continue maybe just for the next 1 day, because obviously we're still kind of resetting the RSI here. We're not fully back towards neutral, but we have now reset out of overbought, which is a good sign to see, because obviously the longer this little cool off goes on for, then the further this RSI gets reset, giving us technically more room back towards the upside again to possibly continue a bit more of a bullish relief and head up towards these slightly higher price targets. And so obviously the price does not move in a straight line towards the upside. Usually when we do that, we hit overbought and we need a bit of time to reset before potentially getting ready for that next move. So that's simply what is happening right now in the immediate short term. Will likely continue a little longer over the coming hours, over the coming day or so. But overall, if we're talking about, let's just say the next week, we are technically looking more bullish than we are bearish, especially if of course Bitcoin breaks out here. Obviously, this can also influence what a lot of the crypto market does, depending on if we reject or break out for Bitcoin. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, right now in the immediate short term, Solana is perfectly struggling and starting to potentially see another rejection from this exact area of resistance that I've been warning about for a long time now, sitting in between 143 to 147. And obviously, as soon as we hit pretty much exactly 147, we perfectly rejected from that exact level. So obviously continue to expect a lot of resistance in that area right there that I've been warning about. And as for support, if we continue more of a rejection here, in that situation, expect a lot of support in between around 124 to 128 approximately. And technically speaking, the somewhat shorter term situation is simply the price is in a sideways price range. We're just bouncing around relatively sideways between support and resistance. So at least for now, that is the current situation. Technically, the much larger structure is still bearish, but the shorter term situation, talking about the next few days, the next week, that sort of time frame, we're looking actually relatively neutral, just chopping around sideways between support and resistance. At least for now, that is still the situation for Solana. And if we're taking a quick look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, obviously we still have this massive bearish divergence to watch out for. It's not gone away, it's not yet been invalidated, so still something to pay attention to on the much larger time frames. But obviously this is not a short-term signal. This has been playing out over multiple months. What is more of a shorter term signal is of course that short-term bullish divergence, the smaller bullish divergence on the daily XRP price chart that confirmed roughly 2 weeks ago. And ever since it confirmed right around here with that first daily candle close back in the green after that latest drop that we saw around 2 to 3 weeks ago, the moment that confirmed, obviously that ultimately resulted in just a slight bullish relief followed by a bit of choppy sideways price action, which are the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. We usually see either chop around sideways or a slight bullish relief. And so overall, it is quite likely we'll continue kind of bouncing around relatively sideways between support and resistance. First of all, we have a lot of resistance in between around $2.30 to $2.40, but before hitting that area, we also have a bit of resistance to watch out for at around $2.20. And as for support, I would expect a decent amount of support in between around $2 to $2.05. And if we break below that level, expect more support at roughly around 193 to 195, give or take. And remember, despite seeing these shorter term bullish reliefs or chopping around sideways due to this smaller bullish divergence, remember we still have the much larger bearish divergence in play, still active on the weekly time frame for the price of XRP, kind of like the much larger bearish divergence for Bitcoin on the much larger time frames, which means overall we're still within this larger bearish trend for XRP here on the daily time frame. Remember, a larger bearish trend can play out over multiple months and can contain short-term bullish reliefs or sideways consolidations during the larger bearish trend. So at least for now, that is still the current situation for XRP. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a somewhat similar situation for Chainlink, but I'd argue that Chainlink's actually looking slightly more bullish than XRP in the immediate short term, because we more recently confirmed this bullish divergence on the daily Chainlink price chart with, of course, slight lower lows, almost horizontal lows in the price in the candle closes, and clear higher lows confirmed in the daily Chainlink RSI. And obviously the moment we confirmed that bullish divergence, we continued a decent bounce towards the upside, obviously a bullish relief in the shorter term, and we also confirmed a double bottom or W pattern for the price, activating a bullish price target at roughly $15. And we've pretty much exactly already hit that price target within just a few cents of $15. So that's now basically been hit and now been completed. And so right now we're kind of in a bit of a new sideways price range between this previous resistance, which I'll now expect support at, which is sitting at around $13.40 to $13.50. Once again, previously that was a resistance, but I'd now expect support in between $13.40 to $13.50. And as for resistance to watch out for, remember, expect some resistance at around $15, but especially in between around $15.20 to $15.70, expect a lot of resistance around there. And so potentially, while we're waiting for Bitcoin to make up its mind at this resistance, it's possible that Chainlink and a lot of these major altcoins could kind of just bounce around relatively sideways, cool off a little bit after these decent bullish moves that we saw over the last few days in order to basically reset and get ready for the next move. So overall, just for the next day or so, I do expect relatively boring price action for Chainlink. But overall, it is quite likely that within the next 1 week or so, we could see another retest of this resistance at some point, especially if, of course, Bitcoin breaks out above 94,000. That can really help a lot of the altcoin market as well. And once again, if you want to get set up ready to go to take that next potential trading opportunity in any of these cryptos, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing here, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.